Shalom. My name is Adam, and I welcome you to the parable of the Vineyard. Every day, Yahweh is waking up a remnant, a group of people who are coming out of deceptions, realizing our walk is to consist of faith and obedience to His righteous commands. Each week, we read through and examine a portion of the Torah, allowing the Spirit of the Most High to guide, teach, and open our eyes and ears to the wondrous matters out of His law. Join us as we seek to be refined by His Word, preparing ourselves for the return of our King of Kings, being faithful and obedient, walking in His way, truth, and life. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome back, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard. This is week 19 of our Torah portion, line-by-line reading and study. We're going to be covering Exodus 25, 1 through 27, 19, and this is all about rearing up the tabernacle, the house of Yahweh in the wilderness. And a lot of people talk about the second Exodus quite a bit, and no doubt this is a huge topic for those who are researching end times eschatology and what's next and what are we waiting for, what's this big event, and I think to really help understand the second Exodus best, we have to understand the second wilderness experience, and which I think some of us are understanding that we're currently in right now, and want to share some of the understandings that I believe the Most High has been showing quite a few of us of what's actually happening in these last days in preparation for that second Exodus, as in it's even happening in phases right now. So just want to start off by saying praise the Most High Yahweh. Sorry I haven't been here the last few weeks. I've been down with a thorn in the flesh, as Paul says. Something I deal with. Maybe I'll share more of that testimony another time, dealing with CRPS and the journey that's brought me through. It's part of my testimony of how I even came to the Most High, to which I even want to start off this week with Psalm 119:71. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, going through hard times, and for some of us, it's in different shapes and forms. It could be family issues, it could be financial, work-related, it could be literally physical pain, it can be illnesses, children, it can be all sorts of things, afflictions, hard times that we go through. And David, the man after Yahweh's own heart, recognized it was good for him to go through those hard times that I might learn your statutes, which to me is how I even came to the truth to begin with. But again, my testimony another time. But I was down for a few weeks, but praise be the Most High, coming out of this flare-up of affliction, which I have to always say, every single time, no matter how hard the affliction is, if I can be honest, I look back and realize that the Most High allowed that for a reason. And there, if taken with the right attitude and the right heart, you grow the most during the affliction. So I love Brother D, Devoted to Yah's song, where he's like, what's cooking in the oven? Me, right? And he's even like, turn it up 7 times hotter. And I truly understand that concept, because I would rather go through all sorts of trials and afflictions here on this earth to burn off whatever He doesn't want from me. I'd rather that happen here than live a comfy life and remain in anything that would keep me separated from the Most High. And so this is the general understanding of, hey, if you take it with a cheerful heart, or at least an understanding heart, and not complaining and murmuring and backbiting, the Most High will do something with you. And I've been dealing with these flare-ups in and out of my life for 12 years now. Some last months at a time where I can't even get up. But every single time I look back, and I feel like the Most High is refining me in a good way. And so this 2-week, 16-day flare-up, no different. But thank you all for praying. Praise the Most High. Let's not delay any longer. Let's get into the Torah portion. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Yahweh Most High, we just come before you in Yahushua's name, and thank you so much for allowing us to study your word. Thank you for pulling us out of our sinful ways and freeing us by the blood of Yahushua, your Son, the Word, our King, our High Priest, our example, our everything. And Father, we just Ask that your Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, would be with us and guide us as we read this, Father. And we recognize that this Torah portion is not just about brass sockets and fittings and tenons and boards, but there's much more to be said here, Father. And I just pray that what I believe you've given me is true, and may share that with the brethren here. And just ask that you'd help us all to grow together, learn how to work together, Father, and to prepare you a habitation to dwell in. And it's in your Son, Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. So this Torah portion is all about building in the wilderness. And that's really what's going on now. We're in the wilderness now. I'll like to explain that in a bit, but let's just go ahead and get through. Let's read Exodus 25 first. I want to share a few things, and then we'll get kind of to the building of the tabernacle. But first, I want to get to the contributions and whatnot. This is a really, really cool part, and this is a really interesting Torah portion. The first couple years doing this Torah portion, I'm like, reading. This is the instructions of how to build the menorah, the table, the altar, and I'm not a hands-on kind of guy. That's just not, I just, anyways. And so reading through these construction plans, you're like, okay, 50 sockets and a bunch of boards and a bunch of curtains, and especially a non-engineer or building mindset kind of guy, more of the other side, the creative side, you read through, you're like, okay, Yah is very detailed. What else am I supposed to learn here? Like, why is all this, cataloged? And there's, I think there's some really interesting spiritual significances that I'd like to share with you. So let's go ahead and just listen to the word audio of Exodus 25, and we'll get on with it. Sorry it took 7 minutes here to get to the word. Praise the Most High. Thank you for bearing with me. And let's blow some shofars real quick. My shofar's not here. Numbers 10:10 says we blow the shofars every new moon, Sabbath, and feast days. That's at least how I understand it. So this is road shofar from 3 years ago. I don't wear cowboy hats anymore. Praise Yah. All right. Usually not a good idea to blow shofars while you're driving, so I'm not really sure why I continue to have that as my backup when I don't have my shofar here. So, praise Yah. Here we go. Exodus 25.
Shemot, Exodus chapter 25. And Yahweh spoke unto Moshe, saying,
Speak unto the children of Yasharel, that they bring me an offering. Of every man that gives it willingly with his heart, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them, gold, and silver, and brass, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skin dyed red, and badger skin, and shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod, in the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I show you, after the pattern of the tabernacle, and the pattern of all the instruments thereof, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Within and without shall you overlay it, and shall make upon it a crown of gold round about. And you shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the corners thereof. And 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And you shall make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony which I give you. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length thereof, and a cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten work shall you make them, in the 2 ends of the mercy seat. And make 1 cherub on one end, and the other cherub on the other end. Even of the mercy seat shall ye make the cherubim on the two ends thereof. And the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, and their faces shall look one to another. Towards the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubim be. And you shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. And there I will meet with you, and I will commune with you from above the mercy seat, from between the two cherubim, which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I give you in commandment unto the children of Yasharel. You shall also make a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits shall be the length thereof, and a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And you shall make unto it a border of a handbreadth round about, and you shall make a golden crown to the border thereof round about. And you shall make it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border shall the rings be for places of the staves to bear the table. And you shall make the staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And you shall make dishes thereof, and spoons thereof, and covers thereof, and bowls thereof. To cover withal of pure gold shall you make them. And you shall set upon the table showbread before me always. And you shall make a menorah, 7-branched candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work shall the menorah be made. His shaft and his branches, his bowls, his knops, and his flowers shall be of the same. And 6 branches shall come out of the sides of it, 3 branches of the menorah out of the one side, and 3 branches of the menorah out of the other side. 3 bowls made like unto almonds, with a knop and a flower in one branch, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knop and a flower, so in the 6 branches that come out of the menorah. And in the menorah shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knops and their flowers. And there shall be a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches that proceed out of the menorah. Their knops and their branches shall be of the same. All of it shall be one beaten work of pure gold. And you shall make the 7 lamps thereof, and they shall light the lamps thereof, that they may give light over against it. And the tongs thereof, and the snuff dishes thereof, shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall he make it, with all these vessels. And look that you make them after the pattern, which was showed you in the mount.
Okay, praise yeah. So there's quite a bit here in Exodus 25. One thing that really just kind of stood out to me this year, and we're not going to get too much into the, really too deep into it, but I was just thinking about this mercy seat. And that's of pure gold. Of course, this is where he meets with the children of Israel, obviously initially Moses, Aaron, and then the high priests. But I was looking at these cherubim that covers, right? These cherubim that, right? Here's his, the cherubim shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. So this is literally cherubim that cover. And, you know, it's interesting that in Ezekiel 28, I didn't have notes for this, but I was just thinking about this, is talking about this prince of Tyrus, or the king of Tyrus. And obviously there was a literal king of Tyrus that this could have been pointing to, but as this unfolds, we recognize that this is not a human king, and so this becomes a pseudonym for Satan, literally talking about how he had been in the Garden of Eden. Every precious stone was your covering, such and such and such. And then he goes on to say, you are the anointed cherub that covers. And so literally Satan was an anointed cherub that covered the throne. Like, so he was literally like right there. And so when you think of the rebellion, it really just puts to me a little more context to it, a little more meat to it, a little more maybe heartbreak from, I mean, think about the Most High and just think of someone who is right there on that, because everything that was made here on earth was a pattern of the heavenlies. And so if that mercy seat represents the throne, well, then Satan was literally one of those cherubs that covered and was right there, like a cupbearer, like a bearer up of the throne. I don't know exactly, obviously, how that works out here, but literally this was making a replica of it, and Satan was one of these anointed cherub that covered, and then he was made perfect until the day that iniquity was found in you. And so, I was born this way doesn't cut it. Anyways, so I feel like, Satan tries to put his heart out through music and musicians. Like, we obviously know he has an influence with the music industry, and so maybe he even controls all the lyrics. And sometimes I feel like he puts his letters out to the Most High through popular music, Anyway, so again, I was born that way, just doesn't quite cut it. So I don't want to get too much on a sidetrack on the Satan deal, but it really, to me, just who can understand the heart of the Most High? His ways are way higher than our ways, but I think he gives us opportunities from time to time to understand things from his perspective. I mean, after all, he is the perfect example, right? I believe Yahushua came down, who is the God of Israel, to literally show us how to do it, and repair the breach and get back up on his heavenly throne where he came down from. And, this whole wilderness experience really is kind of an overall overview is what I was sharing in the beginning. Like, if the Israelites took it the right way and didn't complain and murmur, and they would have just gone with his chastening of eating simple food, of having a lifestyle on the move, having to kind of have a waiting period before entering the promised land. Well, if they would have just obeyed in the first place, they would have gone in, obviously. So that's the overall moral of the story. But aren't we just like the Israelites? We missed it, and so we've got to go through these experiences. We've all fallen short. Every one of us listening, I've fallen short. You've fallen short, and we're learning that Messiah didn't come to look at us and be like, "Okay, you're broken. I'm gonna forgive you your sins. I'm gonna leave you broken. Just keep, doing what you're doing." No, he came to heal. He says, "By your faith you've been healed. Go and sin no more." So he came to build us up and to restore us as men and women that we can do what's right. And anyway, so the whole wilderness experience was chastening from the Most High for their own good, because it's in a similar way, like, we get to learn the Father's heart, like with our children. I mean, it's never feels good as a parent to discipline your children. And if it does feel good, you need to check yourself, you need to check your heart, pray about it. But at least from my perspective, like, it does not like make me feel good to chasten my child. But if I recognize what the Father does with us and taken the right way, it's for our own good. How much more with our children? And that's why the Proverbs easily says, spare the rod, hate your child. Same thing with our Heavenly Father. If he spared the rod from us, that would just be like hating us, because we see what naturally happens to man just left untended. He needs to be pruned. He needs to be trimmed. He needs to be fertilized. That's why he represents us as trees many times. Does pruning feel good? If we're trees, and does the big snip feel good? No. But if we take it with pleasure and we let the gardener do the gardening on us, we take it with a good heart. We get refined and we can become closer to him. We continue to grow taller, bigger. We all want to continue to grow, don't we? Our families, whatever it is. And that's why the psalm says, he who meditates on the Torah day and night should be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that brings forth his fruit in his season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. Now, that doesn't mean just because he meditates on the Torah day and night that everything just comes easy. There's still going to be struggle. There's still going to be learning lessons. There's still going to be overcoming the challenges that faces all mankind. Otherwise, if we didn't have struggles, if we didn't have sickness, if we didn't have ups and downs, if we didn't have always total financial security, how would we know how to budget better? How would we know how to be more diligent, and how do we know to be more? The pressing is so good for us; it refines our character, and so, anyways, this is becoming a preaching on that. So let's get back to the Torah portion. Well, this is obviously part of the Torah portion. We haven't gotten into the whole wilderness experience, but we're right here in the wilderness, right before all the real sass comes from the people. But here's actually a really good little segment here. The people, were willing, and they ended up having too much, and they had to be like, whoa, that's enough. We're good. Thank you. And so this was a good little part here. I want to read Luke 6:30-38. Give to every man that asks of you, and of him that takes away your goods, ask them not again. And as you would that men should do to you, do you also to them likewise. For if you love them which love you, what thank do you have? For sinners also love those that love them. And if you do good to them which do good to you, what thank have you? For sinners also do even the same. And if you lend to them of whom you hope to receive, what thank have you? For sinners also lend to sinners to receive as much again. But love your enemies and do good, lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great, and ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father is also merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, ye shall be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, and men shall give into your bosom. For with the same measure that you meet withal, it shall be measured with you at all. Point, obviously, from modern day context, is we shouldn't have these clings to money and possessions. And that's why we'll get to Acts 2 in a bit. That's why the apostles and the recent converts were willing to just like, hey, you know what? Let's share. Let's all just share everything we have. And I think ultimately that's the heart of the Most High. And I think that's what the kingdom looks like. It's a bunch of people that, we recognize that Torah is about personal property, but really, what's mine is yours. I mean, isn't that how the Father deals with us? I mean, He's like, I've created all this for you, and what's mine is yours. And He's like, just give me fruits in their due season. Give back to me what's mine. And anyways. So a cheerful giver is obviously the Father loves greatly. I want to read a little bit from the book of the Not Stream. This is, let's see. This is chapter 4, verse 37. The rich are responsible for providing the needs of the poor, whether by work or food. This, above all, is the prime responsibility of wealth. Let me read that again. The rich are responsible for providing the needs of the poor, whether by work or food. This, above all, is the prime responsibility of wealth. And if a rich man say this he cannot do, then his riches witness against him. For if a poor man has a loaf of bread, he will share it with he who has none. And a beggar at the door of a poor man receives better treatment than he does at the doors of the rich. Yet the rich have the most to give, and this is the sin of the wealthy. Riches of themselves are not sinful. It is what they make of men that brings them into ill repute. If they were properly regarded as something permitting the possessor to study the books of wisdom and to redress the wrongs of the poor, then they would serve a good end. Let the rich ask themselves with sincerity, am I not wealthy because of my lack of charity and the exploitation of others? Is it not because I love myself more than my neighbors? And so this is kind of the precept I'm trying to explain, is that, I think the reverse understanding is the better way of, hey, what's mine is communities, and let's just all share what we have, whether it be financial, whether it be talents, like literally skill sets, let's all share it. Let me not just keep it to myself, even if it is like a skill set. Let's say you're the best tradesman there is, should you use that trade just for yourself and for your family, or should it be something that's for a greater community, And we'll get to that in a bit. I want to go also to chapter 3, verses 34 through 35. In the PDF, it's page 40. If anyone's new here, like, what's the book of the Not Stream? It's a book that was preserved by the Celts. Supposedly, this was brought up by Joseph of Arimathea. It seems to be another view of the words of Messiah. It expounds on parables. It's been tested by myself and many brethren, and it seems to be without fault. So let's see. Not String 334, Andrew said to Yahusha, "If we give all we have to the poor, they will grow fat and slothful, preferring a life of beggary to one of toil." Yahusha said, "Charity is giving a hand to a blind man or soothing the wounds of those smitten by the Ruach, strengthening sword of life. It is good to help those in distress or those who cannot help themselves, but sometimes giving does more harm than good. Many give because it eases their conscience or raises their self-esteem. Such giving is not goodness, but when giving entails self-sacrifice, then it is better to give than to receive, for the benefit lies in the sacrifice made and not in the thing bestowed." So it is about the sacrifice, and that's why Messiah was looking at the woman with the 2 pennies. When she gave that, he's like, she gave more than all those who were dumping in riches, because it was the sacrifice entailed. Somewhere else in this book, it says something about giving is not giving or charity is not giving the bone to a dog, but giving the meat when you're hungry yourself. That's sacrifice. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 31. Here's a really neat story in the end, or not in the end times, but in the times of the king. This is the time of Hezekiah, that it was a time of restoration back to righteousness. And I think there's some flashes, foresight of what may happen in the future as well. So 2 Chronicles 31. "Now when all this was finished, all Israel that were present were out to the cities of Judah and brake the images in pieces, cut down the groves, threw down the high places and the altars out of all Judah and Benjamin, and Ephraim also and Manasseh, until they had utterly destroyed them all. Then all the children of Israel returned, every man to his possession, into their own cities. And Hezekiah appointed the courses of the priests and the Levites after their courses, every man according to his service, the priests and the Levites for burnt offerings and for peace offerings, to minister, to give thanks, and to praise in the gates of the tents of Yahweh. He also appointed also the king's portion of his substance for the burnt offerings, to wit, for the morning and evening burnt offerings, and the burnt offerings for the Sabbaths, for the new moons, and for the set feasts, as it is written in the law of Yahweh, the Torah of Yahweh. Moreover, he commanded the people that dwelt in Jerusalem to give the portion of the priests and Levites, that they might be encouraged in the Torah of Yahweh." So, this is kind of a similar call back in the wilderness, like, hey, we need people, help us. "And as soon as the commandment came abroad, the children of Israel brought in abundance the first fruits of corn, wine, oil, honey, and of all the increase of the field, and the tithe of all the things they brought in abundantly." So here it is. Here's that good, cheerful, giving heart that the people of Israel, even that generation in the wilderness that was ultimately fell, they actually still also had really giving hearts for a time. So let us not falter to at least follow the good example. Even those that fell did right in this. But here's this generation of Hezekiah seemed to be righteous. "And concerning the children of Israel and Judah that dwelt in the cities of Judah, they also brought in the tithe of oxen and sheep, the tithe of holy things which were consecrated unto Yahweh their Elohim, and laid them by heaps. In the 3rd month, they began to lay the foundation of the heaps and finish them in the 7th month." So the theme of this Torah portion is building. They're building the utensils, the altars, the menorah, and they'll be building the tabernacle here in the next 2 chapters. And so it's interesting. We see here there's like a breaking down of the wickedness, restoring the priests to their order, so restoring the order of the house, and literally rebuilding the broken down foundations. And so when Hezekiah and the princes came and saw the heaps, they blessed Yahweh and his people Israel. And Hezekiah questioned with the priests and the Levites concerning the heaps. And Azariah, the chief priest of the house of Zadok, answered him and said, "Since the people began to bring the offerings into the house of Yahweh, we had enough to eat and have left plenty, for Yahweh has blessed his people, and that which is left is this great store." Then Hezekiah commanded to prepare chambers in the house of Yahweh, and they prepared them, and brought in the offerings and the tithes and the dedicated things faithfully, over which Caniah the Levite was ruler, and Shimei his brother was next. And Jehiel, and Azaziah, and Nathan, Asahel, and Jeremoth, and Jozabad, and Eliel, and Imachiah, and Mahath and Benaiah were overseers under the hand of Coniah and Shimei his brother at the commandment of Hezekiah the king and Azariah the ruler of the house of Elohim. One really interesting thing about the house of David, David himself, Solomon, of course, in his good time, Hezekiah, Josiah, they knew about structure and order and putting the right men in their appointed place, appointing offices, appointing other people to be in charge and delegation of other things. It's not about one person. So even in the great kingdom of David, right, even though he might have been exalted among the people, he was a man of the people. He cared about the hopes and dreams of each one of his people. He cared about each person getting what that was due to them. And he put people in structure and order. And so we see the same thing Hezekiah doing. And that's the same thing that Yahusha does. Again, it's not about him coming and like saving us with his blood and then leaving us all as a bunch of sheep, and then he just comes and rules over us and we're just a bunch of sheep not knowing what to do. No, he raises up people in places of positions and authority. That's what he wants. That's literally why he created the earth. I don't know exactly what everyone believes out there about the deity of Messiah, but I believe it says that nothing that was created without him. I believe the deity is Elohim, right? I believe it's the Father and the Son. A couple weeks ago, I left you guys hanging, saying that Yahusha is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, and what I believe in that is exactly what he said. He said he came in his Father's name. The Father's name is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. All throughout the Old Testament, he came as the mouthpiece of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the Father. I do not believe Yahusha is the Father, but I believe Yahusha is the God of Israel. I believe he is the Elohim of Israel, part of it. I believe he is the one that interacted with the patriarchs, that interacted with Moses, Abraham. I believe he's the one that got married to Israel. It's right there in Matthew 22. The whole story of the entire world is about a great king that made a marriage for his son. And then Israel was married to that son. And of course, he had to burn the cities because of their disobedience, and he had to divorce them. And I believe Yahusha literally came as a man to rear this thing back up and to die. And that's the mystery of the gospel, that he can take his bride back. Not that he can take his dad's bride, but his own bride. Messiah is the one that came and told us that his doctrine is not his own, from his Father. His Father is greater than him. So he came in and brought forward this mystery of the Godhead that most of us don't understand. So when I say that Yahusha is Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, I'm saying that he was the representative of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. He came in his Father's name, and all throughout the Old Testament where it says, and Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh spoke unto Moses, saying, I believe that was Yahusha. Am I saying Yahusha is the Father? No. But I believe he is the pure representation of the Father. That's why he told Thomas, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. He is the fullness of the Godhead bodily. And he is the commander of Israel. He is the leader of Israel. He is the father of Israel. And he also has a father. That's what I understand. The text in John says, Messiah says, no one has seen the Father at any time, but the Son has declared him. That's all I know. Now, back to the house of David. The house of David understands the heart of Messiah, which is to heal and rear up the strong, to care for the weak, and to even rear up the weak to become the strong themselves and to reproduce and multiply. Life is not about making sheep, but it's about making shepherds. And Korah, the son of Eman, the Levite, the porter towards the east, was over the freewill offerings of Elohim to distribute the oblations of Yahweh and the most holy things. So all this. So he's rearing up the sons of Aaron to do all their work. And thus did Hezekiah throughout Judah, and wrought that which was good and right and truth before Yahweh, it was his Elohim. And in every work that he began in the service of the house of Elohim, and in the Torah, and the commandments, to seek his Elohim, he did it with all his heart and prospered. So a true son of David, like his father David. And this is what it looked like. And of course, Yahusha himself, through the house of David, rearing it back up because it went super astray. That was not really good Bible talk. Super astray. I don't even know what super astray means. But anyways... So let's get back to broad strokes. So obviously they're building the tabernacle in the wilderness. And is this Torah portion really about, all the different colors? Yeah, it's obviously awesome to know how it was built, but what is this ultimately pointing towards? Especially like when we get into Leviticus, is it really exciting to read about animal sacrifices and all that kind of stuff? I mean, to me, that all is pointing to Yahusha, right? And his ultimate sacrifice. In this way, I believe this is ultimately pointing to you, to me, to our brethren who are these building blocks to be built up a spiritual house. And some of us are blue. Some of us are scarlet. Some of us are badger skin. I don't know who that is, but we'll talk about it. But some of us are the oil for the light and the spices and the stones. And so some of us are the boards. We'll read more about that, of course, in the next two chapters. So we'll read more about the tabernacle. But so let's stay with the vessels. And so I wanted to share real quick. 1 Peter 2:5. You also, as living stones, are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood to offer up spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Elohim by Yahushua HaMashiach. So literally, if you haven't looked at a building recently, whether it's like brick or block or wooden frame, stuff has to fit together to be sturdy, to work together. Let's just stick with, let's say, a concrete block. The concrete block has to fit together. If it has a rounded edge, or if it's cut or broken, how is it going to fit together? How is it going to be sturdy? How is it going to support the next brick on top of it? And so we literally have to work together and form together a house that he will dwell in. So this being scattered all over the internet, having 50 different denominations, and even in the Torah observant, it's just not going to work. At some point, our hearts have to at least be knit together that he can dwell in this habitation. Otherwise, I just don't see that we're just waiting for him to just come fix it. I think the moral of the story is we've got to get our act together. And so we've got to start working together. So if it is a spiritual house, we have to at least spiritually be working together. And at minimum, do we all have to be yoked up together in fellowship and ministry? Maybe not. At least let's have the right heart towards each other. That's a really good starting point. This is, of course, Messiah saying, if you love me, keep my commandments. And he concludes, right? If a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our house with him. I don't know about you. I want to live with him all the days of my life, forever. And that's why I say I would rather suffer on this earth and learn my lessons rather than to have a comfy life and not abide with him forever. 1 Corinthians 6:19. What? I just, the way it's like written, like I feel like Paul gets spicy here. Like, what? Don't you know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you're not your own? I think Paul might have been spicy from time to time. He had that zest. But seriously, though, obviously the point here is if our body is the temple, great. But is he looking to dwell in just one temple, or is he looking to dwell in all of us? Is it about one man, or is it about all of us? It's about all of us, of course. So we've got to figure out how to come together. And again, maybe just not hating each other because of different pronunciations and how we carry out the Sabbath, what hours, different things like that. And maybe that is truly the spirit of Paul saying, hey, don't let anybody judge you in respect to, or maybe even how you carry out new moons and feast days and Sabbaths and things like that. Like, you know what? Honestly, straight up, if you keep morning to morning Sabbath, I love you. You're my brother. I believe you are marked by Yahweh and that you are diligently keeping the Shabbat with all of your heart, soul, and mind. And that shouldn't differ in your mind because I keep evening to evening Sabbath, right? And I have really good friends who are lunar Sabbatarians. Do I agree with the conclusion of that? No. But do I know people close in my life who are lunar Sabbatarians, and I believe that they're carrying out the Sabbath with all their heart, soul, and mind? Yeah. Can I speak for Yahweh and say that they're also marked? No. But I believe in my heart that my heart is knit to that brother and sister that that they are carrying out the commandments with all their heart, soul, mind. Same thing. They're carrying out the new moon the best they know. They're carrying out the feast days the best they know. And I think that's the point. at some point, obviously, he's going to unite us and correct all of our doctrine. But I think the differing nuances of Torah obedience, disobeying Torah and disregarding the Torah, that's a whole different subject. But people that are like, you know what? Yeah, I want to follow Yahusha, and I want to keep the commandments the best I understand, and maybe doing it differently. Man, we have got to look at that, brother. It's like, wow, praise Yahweh. He has circumcised your heart that wants to keep his ways. We may be carrying it out differently, but wow, praise Yah. And I think that's how the spiritual temple of Yahweh is going to at least start being built in the last days. But we're still not even at the tabernacle yet, so let's stick to the thing at hand. The showbread, there's different interpretations, of course, what it looks like. Maybe this is maybe something close here. We at least know that there's 2 stacks of 6 pieces of bread representing the 12 tribes of Israel. And so what it exactly looked like, I don't know. Maybe this is a good representation, at least in my mind. At least, I've seen this picture enough to at least be convinced in my mind that that's what it looks like. But yeah, so also the lampstand is really interesting. I'm not going to go over all the verses I have here, but I will say this is kind of a mini study on the 2 witnesses. I think it has a lot to do with the lampstand in the last days. Zechariah 4 kind of brings it to light here, and it talks about at least two of the 7 lampstands. It says these are the 2 anointed ones, or at least the Hebrew here is the sons of oil that stand by Yahweh, the whole earth. You can search all the scriptures, and at least the 2 offices that I understand that stand before Yahweh are kings and priests. And how that relates to the 2 witnesses in the end days. We know that people who operate under the priesthood of Yahusha is a Melchizedek priesthood, which is a priestly and kingly role united together. Now, does that make all of us kings and priests? I don't know. I can't speak for the king in this matter. I know we're supposed to be like him, walk like him, and if we're going to be kings and priests on this earth now, it's like how he did it. So it's not like boastful and like proud and telling people, hey, I'm a king, I'm a priest, you need to listen to what I'm saying. When did he do that? Like he didn't even like admit to being a king until through, I mean, he even said, you say I'm a king, to Pilate, and it had to be written, this is the king of Israel. But he didn't go around proclaiming what he was, but he went around and did the will and work of Yahweh, and his work spoke of what he was and of his position and of his authority. So we got to keep that in mind. But nevertheless, let's see. Yeah, so the 2 candlesticks, of course. So the menorah is a candlestick of 7 branches. So in Revelation 1:20, the mystery of the 7 stars, which you saw on your right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the 7 angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks, which you saw, are the 7 churches. And so literally showing us that the candlestick itself inside of the tabernacle was to represent his people. Like literally almost everything inside of his house pointed to his people. The menorah points to his people in a way. The showbread points to his people. The breastplate on the priest points to his people. Like almost everything was pointing to his people, and ultimately it shows that his people are the object of his affection. Literally his bride, his wife, the one he's in covenant with. The one that was supposed to stay exclusive to him. And he even says, hey, I'm a jealous Elohim. Don't go flirting around. That's not how I roll. And what, of course, did they do? And what is what is most people doing that claim Jesus, the Son of the Most High, which Paul says people that believe in the most in Messiah, the crucified one, and been baptized, those are the children of Israel today. And what are the children of Israel doing, of course? Christmas, Easter, Sunday, almost everything in disregard. And so I just want to say, I think there's a distinct difference between doing your best to keep the law of the Most High versus man-made traditions that, when confronted with, you cling to with all your heart. And so, man, what a hard thing going on, of course, out there. But nevertheless, the lampstand, the 7 churches representing his people, which ultimately represent, Isaiah 11, Messiah. This is about Messiah, but remember, we're supposed to be like him. He taught us how to be like him. He's like, pick up your cross and follow me. Do what I do. So There shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him. That's one spirit. The spirit of wisdom, that's two. Understanding, three. Counsel, four. Might, five. Knowledge, six. And the fear of Yahweh, seven. That's seven spirits. So ultimately, if this is Messiah and he's the ultimate example, well, at some point, his people are going to rise up and they're going to be refined and they're going to walk in his ways purely, and he's going to give of his spirit. And the spirit of Yahweh, ultimately just the spirit, this is what we call the Holy Spirit. Wisdom will be upon us, and understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and the fear of Yahweh. And at some point, his people are going to have those and walk like Messiah walked. And ultimately, that's why he came, is so that we could walk like he walked. Also, real quickly, just going about the vessels, thinking about like the showbread, the candlestick. This is something interesting. Paul says in 2 Timothy 2:19, nevertheless, the foundation of Elohim stands sure, having this seal, Yahweh knows them that are his, and let everyone that names the name of Mashiach depart from iniquity, lawlessness, Torah breaking. But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, which of course we're reading about, but also of wood and earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor. So you ask yourself, what kind of vessel do you want to be? If a man therefore purge himself of these, he shall be a vessel of honor. So even Paul himself is saying our works determine what we become. Sanctified and meet for the master's use and prepared unto every good work. And I don't know about you, when I read like Isaiah, and Isaiah is before him, and he hears the Spirit say, who will go for us? Isaiah was like, me, pick me, I'll do it. How many of you out there read these scriptures and are like, I want to be a worker in the field. I want to do it. I want to do something. If you haven't yet, may the Spirit light a fire under you to recognize that, man, time is ticking and it's a dark world out there. People are being swallowed up. People are being deceived by the wicked one. It's an ocean out there, and a digital ocean at times when you think about like TikTok and YouTube and whatever other. It's a digital ocean, and people are fishing. Satan's fishing. Satan's literally fishing every day for souls. And that's why Mystery Babylon, it says, she's guilty of, collecting all the resources that the sons of men delight in. There's nothing wrong with nice resources. I mean, we're reading here, gold, silver, precious jewels, and whatnot. So Mystery Babylon is guilty of gathering all these resources in wickedness, of course, in abundance, without redistributing to the care of others, of course, but also the souls of men. And so the point is, at some point, we're going to recognize that it's literally a war out there. And at some point, you're either going to want to jump in and join in this fight for good versus evil. I mean, really, it's not to be cheesy, but at some point, we're going to recognize this and recognize how petty you Torah people are arguing with each other over the exact observance of Sabbath. Now, is that important? Sure, but to stay idle, to make your whole ministry about sitting there talking about the calendar and like the name pronunciation when literally people are dying out there, what is wrong with you? This is time for us to knock off this nonsense and recognize that the enemy is just playing with you. He's keeping you busy, arguing with your brothers and sisters, tearing down other ministries who are meant to help the souls of men, but yet just tearing each other down. Let Yahweh deal with these people. Let's at least recognize we're not each other's enemy and work together. Then maybe we can get somewhere. Praise the Most High. So let's go to chapter 26 of Exodus. And we'll go to the tabernacle now. I might actually just let 26 and 27 read, and then I've got a lot to say on this topic. Matter of fact, this is really where I want to talk about where we're at now in relation to the second Exodus, the wilderness, what Yahweh is doing in the wilderness right now. And yeah, praise Yah. I don't know what I was going to say there. Let's just keep going.
Shemot, Exodus chapter 26.
Moreover, you shall make the tabernacle with 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple, and scarlet, with cherubim of cunning work shall you make them. The length of one curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits. Every one of the curtains shall have one measure. The 5 curtains shall be coupled together, one to another, and other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And you shall make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise shall you make in the uttermost edge of another curtain in the coupling of the second. 50 loops shall you make in the one curtain, and 50 loops shall you make in the edge of the curtain that is the coupling of the second, and the loops may take hold one of another. And you shall make 50 taches of gold, and couple the curtains together with the taches, and it shall be one tabernacle. And you shall make curtains of goat hair to be a covering upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains shall you make. The length of one curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain 4 cubits, and the 11 curtains shall be all of one measure. And you shall couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shall double the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tabernacle. And you shall make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is utmost in the coupling, and 50 loops in the edge of the curtain which couples the second. And you shall make 50 taches of brass, and put the taches into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the remnant that remains of the curtain of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the backside of the tabernacle, and a cubit on the one side, and a cubit on the other side, of that which remains in the length of the curtains of the tent. It shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle, on this side and on that side, to cover it. And you shall make a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, and a covering above of badger's skin. And you shall make the boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood, standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half shall be the breadth of one board. 2 tenons shall be in one board, set in order one against another. Thus shall you make for all the boards of the tabernacle. You shall make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side southward. And you shall make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, there shall be 20 boards, and there 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, you shall make 6 boards, and 2 boards shall you make for the corners of the tabernacle in the 2 sides. And they shall be coupled together beneath, and they shall be coupled together above the head of it unto one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And they shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And you shall make bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle for the 2 sides westward. And the middle bar in the middle of the boards shall reach from end to end. And you shall overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And you shall overlay the bars with gold. And you shall rear up the tabernacle according to the fashion thereof, which was showed you in the mount. And you shall make a veil of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen of cunning work, with cherubim shall it be made. And you shall hang it upon the 4 pillars of shittim wood, overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, upon the 4 sockets of silver. And you shall hang up the veil under the taches, that you may bring in hither within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy. And you shall put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And you shall set the table without the veil, and the menorah, 7-branched candlestick, over against the table on the side of the tabernacle towards the south. And you shall put the table on the north side. And you shall make a hanging for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And you shall make for the hanging 5 pillars of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold, and their hooks shall be of gold, and you shall cast 5 sockets of brass for them.
Shemot, Exodus chapter 27.
And you shall make an altar of shittim wood, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and the altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And you shall make the horns of it upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and you shall overlay it with brass. And you shall make his pans to receive his ashes, and his shovels, and his basins, and his flesh hooks, and his fire pans. All the vessels thereof you shall make of brass. And you shall make it for a grate of network of brass, and upon the net shall you make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners thereof. And you shall put it under the compass of the altar beneath, that the net may be even to the midst of the altar. And you shall make staves for the altar, staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar, to bear it. Hollow with boards shall you make it, as it was showed you in the mount, so shall they make it. And you shall make the court of the tabernacle, for the south side southward. There shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen, of 100 cubits long for one side. And the 20 pillars thereof and their 20 sockets shall be of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side in length there shall be hangings of 100 cubits long, and his 20 pillars, and their 20 sockets of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings of one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And on the other side shall be hangings 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be hangings of 20 cubits, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, wrought with needlework. And their pillars shall be 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars round about the court shall be filleted with silver. Their hooks shall be of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere. And the height of 5 cubits of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the vessels of the tabernacle in the service thereof, and all the pins thereof, and all the pins of the court shall be of brass.
Okay, praise Yah. So we have the construction of the tabernacle. We have the basin here. This continued theme of Yahweh building his place to dwell in the wilderness, and this is really where I want to turn to kind of where we're at now. Man, there's a lot I want to say here, and I don't want to mess this up. So we see that Peter says that we are a spiritual, we're building blocks to be built up a spiritual house. And so obviously, in these last days, is he talking about building, a physical temple? I think he's talking obviously spiritual, but in general, he's talking about his people coming together. And I think obviously it starts with hearts first. What is that second greater exodus? Of course, that's him. Literally doing that for us, bringing us together. Otherwise, how can we, how could we all, do that by any of our power? But again, spiritually, we've got to start coming together, because I believe that we are in the wilderness now, and that he is building his tabernacle right now. Let's just start with the Torah, Deuteronomy 32, 9 through 11. This is both history and I believe also prophetic in the last days. And I would like to prove that to you through the prophets. So Deuteronomy 32, 9 through 11, for Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. He found him in a desert land and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. So while this happened with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, literally, figuratively, that's happening with his people right now. The world is a wilderness if you haven't recognized that spiritually. There's hardly any fruit being born. If fruit, what he's looking for is spirit and truth, according to the Torah and according to love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness, long-suffering, self-control. Is this world not barren everywhere? But there's specifically a land that the prophets pinpoint, but I want to share. But nevertheless, his people, of course, are spread across the four corners in a desert land, and he's finding all of us right now. He's meeting us in the desert. As an eagle stirs up her nest, flutters over her young, spreads abroad her wings, takes them, bears them on her wings, right? So there's this a safety here. There's this protection, and I forgot to put this in here. In Isaiah 27, we see the same thing he does here. In that day, Yahweh with his sore and great sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. This is the time he breaks Satan's power. This is when the bonds are burst off of the ultimate Pharaoh, the ultimate fulfillment of Pharaoh, which Satan is pseudonamed the king of Tyre, Pharaoh, king of Babylon. He goes by many names. The Most High addresses him in many names. In this case, Leviathan, crooked serpent, the dragon that's in the sea. So in that day, sing ye unto her a vineyard of red wine. I, Yahweh, do keep it. I will water it every moment, lest any hurt it. I will keep it night and day. We'll find out here in a little bit that he plants this in the wilderness, which is important. He shall cause them that come of Jacob to take root. Israel shall blossom and bud and fill the face of the world with fruit. And we're going to find out through the prophets where that planting is. Hosea 2, 14 through 20. Therefore, behold, I will allure her, his bride, and bring her into the wilderness, and speak comfortably unto her, and I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope. And so where does he give that from? He gives it from the wilderness. Let's not forget our history. What else happened in the wilderness? Well, we're seeing the tabernacle being literally built up in the wilderness. Moses reiterated the Torah in the wilderness before inheriting the promised land. We're going to find out where in a second. This is, obviously where the covenant was established. Everything is established in the wilderness before they're brought into the promised land. So everything is literally happening again in the wilderness of the peoples, in the wilderness of the world, if you will. So from the wilderness, I will give her vineyards from thence, and the valley of Achor for a door of hope, and she shall sing there as in the days of her youth, and as in the day when she came up out of the land of Egypt. So this is like first Exodus, second Exodus. So something similar is going to happen. And it shall be at that day, says Yahweh, that thou shalt call me Ishai, and shall no more call me Baali. For I will take away the names of Balaam out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of the heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. This is reminiscent of Genesis 1, where man was given dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowls of the heaven, the creeping things, all the beasts of the earth. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth, and I will make them to lie down safely, as the original intention. And I will betroth you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you unto me in righteousness and in judgment and in loving kindness and in mercies. I will even betroth you unto me in faithfulness, and you shall know Yahweh. Just to really quickly touch on the bride debate. Is the bride the people? Is it New Jerusalem? It's both. New Jerusalem is literally built up of his people. It's a spiritual house built up. Now, is there going to be a physical building coming down? Sure, yeah, absolutely. But literally his people is New Jerusalem. It is the building blocks to build up a house for him to dwell in. So that's why you'll find verses that support New Jerusalem as the bride. That's why you'll find verses that support his people are the brides, because, well, his people are literally part of New Jerusalem. In Isaiah 49 calls them like they're bound on the walls like encrusted gems. Paul talks about Yahusha is the cornerstone of that building, built upon the foundations of the apostles, and then just continues to build, to where we're at now. So that's why it's at least in my eyes, it's both. People obviously can still argue that point, but so let's talk about Yahweh building in the wilderness again. Isaiah 35. And remember, the wilderness is like a desert wasteland. So you're like, well, wait a minute, we're all like living in lush green areas in America. You got to think spiritually. If this is a spiritual house, we got to think spiritually of the world. Again, even people that believe in Jesus but don't keep the Sabbath, don't do the feast days, don't keep clean eating, we can make excuses for them all day long. And I'm not sitting here judging them, but what I'm saying from his perspective, it's nothing new under the sun. It's the same thing with the Jews. Hey, we know we love you, but we're going to do things mixed with pagan ways. And we're going to do that because it's passed down to us, or we're going to fight for it, as people do now. And so it's nothing new under the sun. And just like the Pharisees, he said, hey, you draw close to me with your mouth and honor me with your lips, but your heart is far from me. Why? Because you worship me in the ways of the doctrines of men. So the whole world, so if we have the world filled with atheists, people that don't even believe he exists, could care less, could spit in his face, you've got, Buddhists, Taoists, you've got all sorts of wide roads, New Age, all sorts of comfy sounding things, scientism, or just agnostic, or just, I don't care, I don't even, why are you even asking me? I don't even care. I just want to work and play video games and do whatever and die. Like people literally believe that. How do I know? Because I was once a lost person that thought life was literally just about working and getting a bunch of stuff and doing whatever you want and just being happy and thinking you're a good person in your mind. No, that doesn't work. So the world is a wilderness, is what I'm trying to paint for you. So the wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. I grew up in my high school years. I lived in Palm Springs, which is a low desert, 120, 127 degree heat, very like Phoenix, very similar to Phoenix climate. And man, I'll tell you, once in a while when it rained, which barely ever did, when it rained, it poured, and when it did, the desert blossom. It was beautiful. Just Google images of desert blossoming after heavy rain. It is way more beautiful than any garden that I've seen planted by man's hands. So in a similar way, spiritually in the wilderness, right? It's going to be like this, and then all of a sudden this beautiful stuff's going to pop up. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given to it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen the weak hands, confirm the feeble knees. Say to them which are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense, a repayment. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened. Isn't that happening in the desert? The ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Just pause real quick. Yahusha said that we would do greater works than him. He physically healed someone that couldn't see so they can see again, which is a massive miracle. But what's greater? People's eyes spiritually being open now. And he's obviously, only his spirit can do it, but he's using his people to share the testimony that we've been given of the goodness of the Torah and of our obligation and loving, awesome obligation to walk the same road Yahusha walked. It may be hard. It may be full of spitting and slapping. It may be full of insults. It may be full of treachery, deceit, lying, wolves. It's the hardest road you ever walk, but it's the most blessed, and it's the most fulfilling, and it's lasting, that nobody can take away from you. So then shall the lame man leap as a hart, like a deer. And hart. Is that a deer or a rabbit? Oh my goodness. somebody out there just correct me in the comments. I never said I was a super scholarly guy. I'm pretty sure this is a deer. Okay, and the tongue of the dumb, good old KJV, and the tongue of the dumb shall sing, for in the wilderness waters shall break out and streams in the desert. This is what I'm telling you about. Literally, just like, you'll have to look it up for yourself. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools, shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there, and the ransomed of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads, and they shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. And that's, obviously, there's going to be an ultimate fulfillment of that. But right now, people are doing this right now. People are literally coming back to the heaven, even the heavenly Zion. That's what Paul says. You have come to the heavenly Zion, to the church of the firstborn. And people are having songs, new songs being formed in their hearts, new tongues, right? And speaking righteousness, speaking truth when they used to be cursing in contempt and shame. Isaiah 41:18-20, I will open rivers in high places and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water and the dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittah tree. I don't like saying that. And the myrtle and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, the pine, and the box tree together. These are all prosperous trees. They're all good trees. Now, I will say there are times, like in Ezekiel, where he does liken like the proud cedars of Lebanon, but there's a lot of times that the cedars is also presented as a good thing. These are all beneficial trees to man, whereas briars, thorns, and thistles, right? Those are always likened to unfruitful, those who do not dwell in the Torah of the Most High, which I meant to say, by the way, I've never really shared, at least what I believe. When you read Psalm 1, it talks about the person who meditates in the Torah day and night will prosper. There will be like a tree that grows and is always, plentiful. It's like an evergreen and even bears fruit. And so just consider meditating day and night is not just reading scripture day and night. That is applying your whole life. Like everything is centered around his ways, his Torah, with a perfect example of Yahusha, right? In the light of Yahusha. Looking at the Torah, not in the light of Judaism or Rabbinism, looking at the Torah in the light of Yahusha, the way he interprets it, the way that the prophets interpret it. So, like everything is with him in mind first. And that's why he says, he who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he's talking about important things. Father and mother is important. It says if you don't honor your mother and father, that you're breaking one of the 10 commandments. And your wife and your children, what's more important? But he said, if you put them first before me, you're not worthy of me. That means he comes first in everything. So work, home, cars, whatever it is, his lens first. Everything is looked at in his lens. So yeah, cars. So like if your car doesn't start, pray first. Come on. Have you tried it yet? When you're missing your keys, have you not looked to him first? When you have a real life difficulty choice first, do you talk to your friends first? Do you even talk to your husband or wife first? Or do you get his counsel first? I assure you, his is the best. And sometimes he may say, go talk to your wife. Or go talk to your husband, or such and such. But always him first. And so your work life with him in first. And when you do that, when someone says, hey, I need you to work the Sabbath, you're not like, oh man, I don't want to make my boss mad. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll work the Sabbath. Man. And then later, why did I do that? Wherein you put him first, meditating on the Torah day and night. Say, hey, boss, I just want to apologize. Just want to remind you about, the faith. I like to follow my Messiah. He says to, keep the commandments. Part of that is the 10 commandments, the Sabbath. And, it's against my religion to do the Sabbath. Oh, well, blah, 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 you're fired. Oh, okay. Oh, Most High, I've just got fired, blah, blah, blah. You don't think he's going to be like, that's my guy. Get him a raise, find him a better job. I'm not speaking for the Most High. I'm not trying to speak in your life that you have to do. I'm just saying, like, can that happen? Yes. Is that the Elohim we serve? Yes. Is that what he may even be testing you for? Yes. Now, obviously, that can apply in many different scenarios. It could be many different things making you choose something or someone else other than Yahweh's ways. And that's where I say he comes first. And to me, that's meditating in the Torah day and night. It does look like reading the word a lot. It does look like praying a lot. It does look like serving your neighbor. It does look like helping the poor. It looks like outstretched arm to the poor. Like, hey, let me lend a hand to you. I'm sorry, outstretched arm usually is like actually a bad thing. When he like destroys a nation, he says with his outstretched arm. But I'm talking about lending an outstretched arm of help, not of destruction. So let's go to Ezekiel 20. So actually, before we do that, I want to read this. I think this is actually more proper. Revelation 12, 1-6. There appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim. They should feed her there 1,260 days. Now, there's lots of interpretations of this, and there's definitely, I believe, a modern-day interpretation of the sons of Elohim. A lot of people will point to this man-child as the 144,000. Some people will say this is the overcomer, the person that Yahusha puts on the throne. Some people will say this is Yahusha himself. I would say ultimately, I think this is pointing to Yahusha, the all-time ruler of Israel that goes up into heaven and sits in his throne, right? And then after he goes up to his throne, doesn't, the church eventually goes into the wilderness, because of the Roman persecution, which is signified here by this dragon. It says the dragon gave power unto the beast. Who is the beast? The beast is the one that has the 7 heads and the 10 horns, is outlined in Daniel. That is the Roman kingdom, ultimately the Roman papacy, which destroyed the woman and made her flee into the wilderness for a long time. And so Yahweh has been feeding and nourishing. So his people are in the wilderness now. It's been a wilderness ever since the temple had been destroyed. His people have been scattered. The Acts 2 church eventually, of course, got broken down. The tabernacle of David was reared up for a time, but it was broken back down by this great dragon that ultimately in Revelation says that that he was going to give it into his hand and destroy the saints until the end times. But at some point in the wilderness, his people are nourished, brought together, rescued, and this is kind of what I want to continue to talk about. So here in Ezekiel 20. Verse 33, as I live, says Yahweh Elohim, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries where you are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury with fury poured out. And I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and therewith I plead with you face to face. So there seems to be, now this could be still all spiritual. I do see at some point him gathering us physically in the wilderness as well. And, and I want to explain why. I'd like to pause here for a second and we'll continue on Ezekiel. Kind of going back to the Torah portion, recognizing that the house of Yahweh requires many moving parts. I mean, we're seeing that. I mean, ultimately, that's why I think all those pieces were recorded. Did he have to? No. He could have just said Moses built up the house exactly how he said so. And these are the dimensions and maybe just a few details. But we went into the brass sockets and the boards and the tenons and the loops and almost every detail. That shows me, and partly I had to walk in a real life community to recognize how important every single person and office, and even down to just the, our regular laborers, everybody is important. We don't have community without even the person who's able to just do the, hard labor, digging a ditch, or all the way to, I'm thinking of, like, in our community, I'm looking at the brass sockets and the tenons to, like, Brother Gershom, who is the shepherd. And, our animals wouldn't be tended to if we didn't have someone that specialized in animals. I'm thinking of, like, like Patrick, who takes care of all things landscape, and he takes care of all the firewood, which we all need during the winter. And, I'm looking at, Annette and Victoria, overseeing the kitchen, and of course all the sisters that work in the kitchen, that feed all the people here. And, I'm looking at, like, Aaron, who, helps me with emails, and helps with the sound system here. And we wouldn't be able to do live streams, and look at, like, Lyndon and Ruth leading worship here. And it's like, everybody has their courses. Colin, who's, become so important in so many ways with graphic design and helping us shoulder this burden. We have Jason and Kim, who have the repair shop, the auto shop here on site. And man, it's like the list continues. I'm thinking, like, Al, who is the leader of the children, teaching the schoolhouse here. And I'm like, man, everybody has a role. There's a lot of people come out to Missouri here because they have a homestead on their heart. And, and people, they get it done out here, but it's like they have no time for anything else. They don't hardly go to Shabbat anymore. And some people are figuring out how to balance that time, but, a lot can't leave their homesteads for feast days because of animals. And, and it's like, I'm starting to recognize that a lot of us have this, like, homesteading mindset in our heart, but really the way to do it is we need all the tenons and the boards and the sockets, and we need everybody. We need the guys that, know how to do electricity. We need the plumbers, and we need people like my wife, who helps with all the back end with the websites, and getting all the admin stuff together. And the just, like, it's so cool to see people fitting together. And I'm so proud of this community, thinking, like, people like Mike, who's recently joined and become the foreman here, and really a vital piece. It's like, I see people from, like, totally different walks of life. You look at us and we just, like, we dress differently. We don't dress the same, but it's like we're coming together and forming something beautiful here. And it's not easy. It's hard because, we become from different walks of life and different personalities, and that is part of the refinement, and that's part of the humbling process, is recognizing, man, it is not just about you. It is about all of us coming together and being able to do this together. And it ain't easy, that I'll assure you. Community has been one of the hardest things I've ever done, but one of the most worthwhile things I've ever done in my life. And, one of the things that has been put in my heart is preparing Yahweh a place to dwell. It's I don't know if I have it in my notes, but Exodus 15, thinking about this this Torah portion, building in the wilderness, it says, Yahweh is my strength and my song. He's become my salvation. He is my El, and I will prepare him a habitation. Of course, Moses went on to do that, but in the end days, a spiritual habitation of men and women working together in spirit and in truth. So, I'm saying, the first step is being united in the spirit. Otherwise, how can we dwell together? There's no way. And so we've got to start somewhere. And I just want to say it's a blessing to get started somewhere. So it says, I will bring you into the wilderness of the people. Back to Ezekiel 20, verse 35. I will bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face, like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So will I plead with you, says Yahweh your Elohim. So, people want to talk about a second Exodus. I'm here to say it's happening now. And part of it, obviously, there's going to be an event that everyone sees, no doubt. That's the fulfillment of it. But there's some staging. The staging of this is happening now. And I will cause you to pass under the rod and will bring you into the bond of the covenant. So he's going to bring us into covenant again in the wilderness. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahuwah. So, wow, that could be really hard to consider there. I wanted to share, did I not have that up? Let's see. I thought I had a little tab here for Isaiah. Okay. So I need to add Jeremiah 48. I had markers up, but I guess that tab didn't. Oh, no, here it is. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Okay, I do have that tab. Okay, so Jeremiah 48 through 25 through 41. So I want to share that Yahweh is going to do this again in Moab. And you're like, okay, Moab, cool. What's the deal with Moab? Okay, what's the deal with Moab? Moab is in the wilderness. Moab is where Moses reiterated the Torah right before they entered the Promised Land. It's where the covenant was renewed. It is where Israel was tested by Balaam. Israel was, of course, walking in the ways of the Most High. Balaam came in and be like, hey, I'm going to tempt them with women, with alcohol, and blah, blah, blah. And they fell. Where is the majority of that kind of behavior coming from? Think about that. If this is all spiritualized, where is spiritual Moab today? We're going to read some stuff about Moab, and we're going to see that the throne of David, or the house, or the tabernacle of David, was began in Moab. And before he was brought into the kingdom in Israel, you'll see he was kind of on the oust, running from Samuel. His captainhood or anointing, or we know he was anointed when a child, but literally his captainhood, or the start of his throne, started in Moab, and I'll show that to you. And I believe it's going to happen again in the end day. So Jeremiah 48 through 25 through 41, the horn, or the power of Moab, is cut off. His arm is broken, says Yahweh. Make him drunken. We know that this, of course, is false doctrine, for he magnified himself against Yahweh. Moab also shall wallow in his vomit. We know this is a pointing towards falling away from the Torah, and this is doing things 1 foot in with Yahweh and 1 foot in with paganism. And he also shall be in derision, confusion. For was not Israel a derision unto you? Was he found among thieves? For since you spake of him, you skipped for joy. O you that dwell in Moab, leave the cities, dwell in the rock. Who's the rock? Of course, Yahusha. He's our protection. And be like the dove that makes her nest in the sides of the hole's mouth. We have heard the pride of Moab. Let me ask you a question. Who is exceeding proud on this earth? There's two options, in my opinion. It's America, or it's the political state of Israel. His loftiness and his arrogancy, his pride, his haughtiness of his heart. I know his wrath, says Yahweh, but it shall not be so. His lies shall not so affect it. Therefore will I howl from Moab. I will cry out from Moab. This is the Spirit of the Most High crying out for Moab. Moab maybe seems to be filled with a land of people that maybe believe in his son, but are keeping all pagan ways. Just keep reading. I'll cry out for Moab. My heart shall mourn over for the men of Kir-Hethess. O vine of Sibma, I will weep for you with the weeping of Jazer. Your plants are gone over the sea. So this is literally their branches are gone over the sea. The nations, the multitudes, the people. This country, Moab, I believe I'll tell you right now, is a pseudonym for America, literally has their arms control over the earth. They reach even to the sea of Jazer. The spoiler has fallen upon thy summer fruits and upon thy vintage, and joy and gladness is taken from the plentiful field and from the land of Moab. I have caused wine to fail from the wine presses. Let me ask you a question. What country is pumping out the most doctrine that is, false doctrine? Wine like like he accused the Pharisees and Sadducees of having the wine of asps and dragons. I have caused the wine to fail from the wine presses. None shall tread with shouting. Their shouting shall be no shouting. From the cry of Heshbon even to Elaeh, even to Jahaz, have they uttered their voice. From Zoar, these are all pseudonyms, of course, just for talking about the breadth of the land of America. From Zoar even to Horonaim, as a heifer of 3 years old, for the waters also of Nimrim shall be desolate. Moreover, I will cause to cease in Moab, says Yahweh, him that offers in the high places, and him that burns incense to his Elohim. What country has more high places on each corner than America? Therefore my heart shall sound for Moab like pipes. My heart shall sound like pipes for the men of Kir Hethes, because the riches that he has gotten are perished. For every head shall be bald, every beard clipped. Upon all hands shall be cuttings, and upon the loins of sackcloth there shall be lamentation generally upon all the housetops of Moab. People have been seeing this. They've been dreaming about the destruction of America. And in the streets thereof, for I have broken Moab like a vessel wherein is no pleasure, says Yahweh. They shall howl, saying, how is it broken down? How has Moab turned back with shame? So is this a country that should be walking in righteousness, that maybe speaks as a lamb, right? Or maybe that has two horns like a lamb, but speaks as a dragon? So shall Moab be a derision and a dismay to all them about him. For thus says Yahweh, behold, he shall fly as an eagle, and shall spread his wings over Moab. Kirioth is taken, and the strongholds are surprised, and the mighty men's hearts in Moab at that day shall be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. And we'll find out that America also has a pseudonym of Egypt in the last days, and we'll see that this has a very similar sentiment. Isaiah, so why is Moab important? Isaiah 16, 6-7, we have heard the pride of Moab. He is very proud. So who is more prideful than America? I'm asking, honestly, I don't know. Even of his haughtiness, his pride, his wrath, but his lies shall not be so. It's going to be broken right there. So the power of the beast, which right now is the revived Roman Empire sitting in America, it's going to be broken in one moment. Therefore shall Moab howl for Moab. Everyone shall howl for the foundations of Kir Haresheth. Kir Haresheth shall mourn. Surely they are stricken. Verse 11-12 of Isaiah 16, wherefore my bowels shall sound like a harp for Moab, and mine inward parts for Kir Haresh. And it shall come to pass, when it is seen that Moab is weary on the high place, that he shall come to his sanctuary to pray, but he shall not prevail. In the Psalms it says that he shall pray even to Yahweh, but he will not be heard. And why? Because this is a land of confusion, a land that has 1 foot in with Yahweh and 1 foot in with paganism. It's because they profess the blood of Yahusha, but don't do anything he says. And I'm not here to condemn Christianity, but we are here to restore the ancient path to people before it's too late. Because I believe that people that are steeped in paganism, whether they are ignorant of it or not, I think are going to face judgment. And that's not me. That's just what the word says. No. So listen. The foundation need to be laid for America as Moab. I'm at least convinced. If you're not convinced, I completely understand. This is something that I believe is new that's come to me. You have to test it for yourself. So now why is that important? Let's go back to the beginning of Isaiah 16 and what is going to be built in the wilderness. It says, send ye the lamb to the ruler of the land from Selah to the wilderness unto the mount of the daughter of Zion. So daughter of Zion, built in the wilderness. So listen to this, for it shall be that as a wandering bird cast out of the nest, so shall the daughters of Moab be at the fords of Arnon. So at some point, right, it's going to be like these baby birds out of a nest without their mother's protection. That's what it's going to be like for the people of Moab, the daughters of Moab. Take counsel, execute judgment. And he's still talking to Moab here. Make your shadow as the night in the midst of the noonday. Hide the outcasts. He's talking about his outcasts. Yahweh is like saying, hide my outcasts. Betray not him that wanders. Listen, let my outcasts dwell with you, Moab. Be a covert to them from the face of the spoiler. For the extortioner is at an end, the spoiler ceases, the oppressors are consumed out of the land. And in mercy shall the throne be established, and he shall sit upon it in truth in the tabernacle of David. judging, seeking judgment, and hasting righteousness. And of course, praise be to Yahweh. We know this is Yahusha's right. This is his throne. It is kind of interesting that this, I was mentioning David, 1 Samuel 22, 1-5, David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave of Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down there to him. And everyone, this is so interesting, everyone that was in distress, everyone that was in debt, everyone that was discontented, gathered themselves unto him and became captain, and he became captain over them, and there were about him 400 men. So this is the beginning of David's throne. And David went thence to Mizpah of Moab, and he sent to the king of Moab, let my father and my mother, I pray you, come forth and be with you, till I know what Elohim will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the while that David was in the hold. And the prophet Gad said to David, abide not in the hold, depart, get you into the land of Judah. And then David departed and came to the forest of Hareth. So literally David had to flee. He was in Moab. His kingdom was formed there, and he went in, of course, into Israel, and we know, of course, he took back over the throne and the kingdom. Deuteronomy 2:8, when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plain of Elath, and from Ezion Geber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. So I believe, once again, I believe Moab is America, and I believe in America, Yahweh is going to build. He's going to start his building. I don't know if everyone's gathered somewhere in America and then gathered in the promised land in the actual borders. I don't know. I don't know all the plans, but I do know that there, at least I'm convinced in my mind. What do we all know? I'm convinced in my mind that there's going to be a gathering in America. And I actually want to make sure I put Isaiah 19 at the end of this because that's super important. But let's go back to what's being formed in the wilderness. Ezekiel 34:22-31. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey, and I will judge between cattle and cattle. And so literally, he says in Jeremiah 23, my sheep are, they're scattered. They're scattered everywhere. They've gone from hill to hill, from mountain to mountain. They're just everywhere. And it's because the shepherds are destroying the flock. They're not real shepherds. They're not shepherds that know the word. They have false dreams. They lead people astray from the Torah, the ancient path. So then he says at some point there's going to be a rallying point, right? There's going to be some sort of sign and signal. And I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken it. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and I will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. And so this is kind of what we were seeing in Isaiah 16 in Moab, which is the seat of the beast at that point, and the seat of the deceit, just like before with Balaam and Moab. And so at some point, the power of these beasts, the fourth beast right now, Rome, Holy Rome, revived Roman Empire going after the saints. At some point, the evil beasts are going to seize out of land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. And I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the shower to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit. So, of course, this is obviously could be literal, but I think this is talking spiritually about his Psalm 1 trees. Maybe some people are cedars, maybe some people are apple trees, some people are myrtle trees. We're all different, and that's what's beautiful. And if you look at what was really interesting to me going to Africa, is seeing that they recognized how different plants help each other and how they planted in a way that it wasn't like all just rows of corn and all rows of it. It was like different plants were planted on this, like literally their whole front yards and backyards was all gardens. Most of them lived off the land, and but they recognized how, this plant helps this plant. This plant defends this plant. Same thing. He made us different, but he made us different in a good way to work together. And that's why it's like, it's like ministries. I don't fight against other ministries. That's why you don't see me taking down other ministries or speaking evil against other ministries, because I recognize, at least from my perspective, hey, you know what? They may not be teaching what I teach, but hey, awesome, because I'm not called to teach what they're teaching right now, or, specific designations within the body, And so, yeah. The tree of the field shall yield her fruit, the earth shall yield her increase. They shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall no more be consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen any more. Thus they shall know that I, Yahweh their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, says Yahweh Elohim. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your Elohim, says Yahweh Elohim. Jeremiah 33. Let's see. I didn't think I was going to do the whole chapter here. Okay, so this chapter is dealing with the houses of the city, the houses of the kings of Judah, which are thrown down by the mounts and the sword. So obviously back then they were literally broken down. Right now, they've been spiritually broken down. His house has not really come together yet. I think it's starting to come together, and I think we're working towards that, and that's the whole point of these end days and the whole point of this study, honestly. So I will bring it health and cure, the houses of Judah, the house of Israel that he wants to dwell in. And I'll cure them, will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. We know this is Torah. And I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return. This is second Exodus talk. And will build them as at first. So now we're talking about building up in the wilderness again. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquities. So that's got to start first, whereby they have sinned against me. And I will pardon all their iniquities whereby they have sinned and whereby they have transgressed against me. A lot of us are having these testimonies of recognizing that we are these prodigal sons that are coming back and being restored, and we know that the blood of Yahusha did this. And so this is happening. And it shall be to me for a name of joy and a praise and an honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them. So he's going to reward a group of people who are doing the right things upon his return. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I'll procure unto it. Thus says Yahweh, again there shall be heard in this place, which you shall say be desolate, without man, without beast, even in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem, they're desolate, without man, without inhabitant, without beast. Come on, listen, the voice of joy, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, and the voice of them that shall say, praise Yahweh Sebaot, for Yahweh is good, for his mercy endures forever. And of them that shall bring the sacrifice of praise into the house of Yahweh, for I will cause to return the captivity of the land, as at the first, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh Sebaot, again in this place, which is desolate, without man, without beast, and all the cities thereof shall be a habitation of shepherds, causing their flocks to lie down, in the cities of the mountain, in the cities of the vale, and in the cities of the south, and in the land of Benjamin, and in the places about Jerusalem, and in the cities of Judah shall the flocks pass again under the hands of him that tells them, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will perform the good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days and at that time I will cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. Listen, Yahushua HaMashiach is that branch of righteousness. Hallelujah. And he came and set up his house. We'll read about it in Acts 2. His house is a tight-knit group of people working and doing life and worship and everything together, right? Of course, at some point, the enemy came in and broke that down, and we're at where we're at now. But his house is being rebuilt again in those days. And so he wants his people, the Nazarene, to grow up and execute judgment and righteousness in the land. It's got to start somewhere. It's got to start first with us, and then our families. And then our families have to come together and form assemblies. And these assemblies have to form the house of Yahweh. Can't be done without the cleansing blood of Yahusha, without the refinement in our lives, without walking in the Spirit, not being a bunch of finger pointers, right? But being encouragers and fishers of men. In those days Judah shall be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell safely. And this is the name wherewith she shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. For thus says Yahweh, David shall never want a man to sit upon the throne of the house of Israel. Neither shall the priests the Levites want a man before me to offer burnt offerings, and to kindle meat offerings, and to do sacrifice continually. And the word of Jeremiah came the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, "Thus says Yahweh, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night," which you can look outside, "that there shall not be day or night in their season, then may also my covenant be broken with David my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. As the host of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea be measured, so will I multiply the seed of David my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto Jeremiah, saying, Consider you not what this people have spoken, saying, The two families which Yahweh has chosen, he has even cast them off." Like right now, where's the ruler? Where's the king of Judah? Where is the priesthood? Of course, we know Yahusha in the heavenlies. However, he has promised this. He has promised us this Melchizedek priesthood forever, after his likeness, after his order. Thus they have despised my people, that they should no more be a nation before them. But however, this is what Yahweh says: "If my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, so that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will cause their captivity return and have mercy on them." Isaiah 66 literally says, at his coming, he will select the priests and Levites again. And consider also regarding the throne, again, regarding the deity of Messiah, I believe that he was the same God that in Genesis 1 made Adam to be ruler over everything: the earth, the birds, the fowls, the fowls of heaven, the fish of the sea, the beasts of the. He was supposed to be ruler over everything, and ultimately Israel was supposed to do the same, and to add the ante, to be a light to all the nations. We saw a small snippet during David and Solomon's rule, but I don't know about you, but at that time, I believe Yahusha was on the throne, the one communicating to David. I believe Yahusha came down not to take that away from David and say, well, I'll go from being God and come down. And I believe he still is the ruler, the heavenly ruler, but he wants to set his people back on the throne. Didn't he tell the apostles that? Right, you who have joined me in the regeneration of men shall be sitting on the thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Revelation 2:26, and he that overcomes and keeps my works to the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father, and I will give him the morning star. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. And so I believe this overcomer is not just one person, but a union. Like we read in Nehemiah 8 that when the people came from Babylon back to Jerusalem, they stood together, and it said they praised Yahweh as one man. They were all together, tightly knit as one man. And so if the tabernacle of Yahusha is going to be reared up, this is not one man building it. This is many coming together, overcoming together. Revelation 3:20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come to him and sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. So I see Yahusha choosing his people to sit on his throne and to rule the nations as it was originally intended to. Let's Isaiah 19. This is kind of interesting. I believe also America is signified as Egypt. It's a pseudonym for America. The burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rides upon a swift cloud, and he shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. I mean, what nation is more divided? There's a lot of nations divided, but who is like the poster boy for a divided nation? I will set Egyptians against Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Listen, I don't know about you. I remember back in the late 90s, being in wrestling and football, literally hating people that lived in a rival school because our rivalry was so stiff. I mean, how ridiculous. Like, I repent of that, of course. And kingdom against kingdom. the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. I will destroy the counsel. They shall seek to the idols, the charmers, to them that have familiar spirits, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord. I think this is Trump straight up. I think you're going to see that soon. He may be like he may be Mr. Nice Guy now and flattery now, but at some point I think he's gonna pharaoh the world. And a fierce king shall rule over them, says Yahweh Sabaoth, and the water shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be dried up. This is just, obviously, at some point, the power is going to be broken. And then it says right here, in that day, Egypt should be like unto women. We read that earlier. I think it was a Jeremiah or Isaiah, pointing at Moab shall be like women. Egypt shall be like women. It's the same thing. And it shall be afraid because of the shaking of the hand of Yahweh Sabaoth, which he shakes over it. It says right here, in that day there shall be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. So this shows me, once again, this to me connects that America is Egypt, is also pseudonym Egypt, pseudonym Moab. Something is built here. Now, do I think that they're going to build the altar like it was, like it's outlined here in Exodus? I think this is probably talking about a spiritual altar. I think this is talking about, 1 Peter 2 stuff, spiritual offerings, Hebrews 13, spiritual sacrifices, that kind of stuff. And it shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh Sabaoth in the land of Egypt. For they shall cry unto Yahweh because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. So Egypt all over again. So this is second Exodus, second wilderness, all over again. And Yahweh shall be known to Egypt, and the Egyptians shall know Yahweh in that day. So this is why I'm saying, don't write off your Christian brothers. He's going to come in here. He's going to come in here and do some damage, and he's going to smack it. And probably a lot of people are going to die. But it says that these Egyptians shall turn. And it says, it says right here. It says right here, and there shall be altar in the midst or in the middle of the land of America. So I think something's happening in the wilderness. I think Abba is going to be building something. When I say, I don't know about physical, I'm talking about spiritually building something together. And part of that is physically coming together, because I'm telling you that this faith is, I'm telling you right now, and I'm not judging anybody, but I had to walk this in myself. I had to walk through this mindset and this process of growing up through the faith in myself. I'm telling you right now, the wholeness of this faith, the fullness of this faith is not waking up and realizing Yahusha is master and walking in the Torah and staying by yourself and just watching YouTube videos and maybe doing Zoom studies for the rest of your life with people. That ain't it. It is about coming together. And I'll tell you what, it's not about sitting in our houses and dwelling in our houses all the time. It is about being out in his nature. He didn't create this world in vain to sit around and sit in front of screens. Now, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, because obviously I spend a lot of time in front of a screen doing these teachings, but I'm telling you what, I am trying to get outside in his nature as much as possible, getting my children off of screens and not being slaves to it. In a similar way, in a similar way, we need to literally come together. And that's why coming together for the Sabbaths are important. The feast days are important. The new moons are important. And so I want to share, I thought I had something up here. Well, I thought I had something for... What happened to my Acts 2? Okay, we'll just put it up here. So in Acts 2, you have a group of people that spend a lot of intimate time with Yahusha, and this is what they do. This is the first thing they do. And all that believed were together and had all things in common. And they sold their possessions and goods, and parted them to all men, as every man had need. And they continued daily with one accord in the temple, and breaking bread from house to house, did eat their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising Elohim and having favor with all people. And Yahweh added to the assembly daily, as such should be saved. I'm here to tell you that this walk isn't even about getting together once a week for Shabbat. That ain't it either. It is about a daily life together. And I'm telling you what, again, I'm not sitting here saying I'm better than anyone for being in community. I'm here as a witness that this is how it's supposed to be done. We are supposed to be, and not everyone has to live on the same but we need to be together in community, meeting often, often Bible studies, men's studies, women's studies, learning men how to be men again, women how to be women again. And does that look like, just basic life stuff? Yes, it does. Even just getting together, it doesn't always have to be studies, but getting together for family events and getting together often to break bread and eat meals together, get to know one another. I went to a church recently. I wanted to see what was going on. And it hurt my heart so bad that the worship leader was like, hey, don't be afraid to sing, even though you don't know anyone around you, just sing. And I was like, they don't know each other, do they? I mean, because, even just walking in, meeting with the assembly once a week for Shabbat, there was a time where I was like, man, I don't really know people, just having short conversations on Shabbat. And we even have like 5-hour Shabbats. But you still, even with groups of like 50 and 60 and 70, it's still hard to get to know everyone. It's the constant meetings. It's the Bible studies. It's the getting together for food. It's the getting together for all sorts of life events. It's literally doing life together. And that's why I say I'm not judging anybody out there that's living on a lonely island. I'm telling y'all to pray to Yahweh to open a way where there's no way, because this is it. The way of Yahweh, the building of his assembly, is literally coming together. And I'm not talking about building a third temple. I'm talking about his third temple of his building blocks coming together, because this is the real way Torah is supposed to be done. And there's not a lot of people preaching this. And he mentions this in Isaiah 56. This is what most people do right here. Most of his teachers his watchmen are blind, as Isaiah 56 said. His watchmen are blind, right? The people who are supposed to warn the people and instruct, they're ignorant. They're all dumb dogs. They can't bark, sleeping, lying down, loving to slumber, lazy. They're greedy dogs, so they're greedy, which can never have enough. And they are shepherds that cannot understand. They all look to their own way. Everyone for his gain from his quarter. Everyone wants to stay from the safety from his quarter, from his house, without being bothered by all the sheep. And this even happens in modern day church. And I'll stay at you be at arm's length. I'll talk to you for a couple hours a day. Maybe if you need a meeting, maybe I'll have a meeting. The shepherd is supposed to be with the people like Yahusha. Yahusha was with the people. He didn't go live off somewhere else like a king and like everyone else had. He lived with them, right? He was with them in the trenches, with them doing. So this is how most of Yahweh's shepherds are. They look to their own way, everyone for his gain from his quarter. And what is it? It's all about doctrine fest. Come ye, they say, we'll fetch wine, we'll fill ourselves with strong drink. It's doctrine. And tomorrow shall be this day and much more. So it's like doctrine, doctrine, doctrine. Everything is just doctrine, when his people literally need hands laid on them. His people literally need hugs and handshakes, and literally just sat down and just. Point is, we're all important. And we need to come together. We literally need to come together and form this end times tabernacle that he can dwell in. Yah is my strength and song. He has become my salvation. I'll prepare him a habitation. What is this habitation? It's a group of his people that have the blood of Yahusha, that walk in Torah, in spirit and truth, that aren't even just inwardly focused, but are outwardly focused as well, being a light to the nations, not just sitting there like, haha, we made it, y'all are suckers, you can't make it in. Negative! Being fruitful and multiply, recognizing that it's all about being like Yahusha, in that the strong came to heal the weak, to get them on their feet, to be strong as well, to heal the other weak, and to get them strong as well. And that process keeps repeating, to always be outwardly focused. And that's why loving your neighbor as yourself is the second greatest commandment. Because when you literally actually love people like you do, or maybe even think of them more than you do, your actions will flow. You'll naturally think of their needs, maybe even sometimes more than yourself. And isn't such the kingdom of heaven? What if you had a group of 100 people that all felt the same way? Whoa, that would be kind of cool. What if you had 1,000 people that all felt that way? What if you had 100,000 people that were like, you know what? Yeah, the law says I can sue you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to forgive you, my brother, and recognize that, you know what? I serve the Elohim that can repay me sevenfold anyways. You be blessed, and may the Most High be with you. Why can't we just have a group of people like that? And I'll tell you, is this community perfect? Negative. Is it beautiful? It's blossoming. It's becoming beautiful. And why? It's because a bunch of people are putting down self first and putting community first. Community, Yah's people, the people that he came and died for, and Yahushua came and died and was hung on a tree for, that made the sun and moon and stars for, that literally this whole earth is for his assembly. So, brothers and sisters, you are important. That's the moral of this story. If you didn't figure that out yet, and if you don't know your purpose, pray about it. If you pray about it and still don't hear, pray about it some more. And if you don't hear about it, pray about it some more and beg him to give you that burning heart desire in your heart to do whatever it is he calls you to do. And when you do it with all your heart. And if you find out that you're a tenant and your job is to sweep with all of your heart, soul, and mind. Because we all should be people that say, you know what? I'd rather be a doorman in the house of Yahweh rather than a billionaire right now. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. I want to set my heart of being a vessel in his house. And so, blessings, brothers and sisters. We're going to do prayer, and I'm going to finish with a new song. Did a collaboration with Sister Michelle Glass, Let the Lion Roar. Literally, we're waiting for the Lion of Judah to come and roar. Praise the Most High. And Sukkot's coming up soon. Feast of Tabernacles. Just anyone that's wondering, I was kind of up in the air between the 22nd or 23rd. We will be going with the evening of the 23rd, which will put Sukkot back. I think I had the evening of Sukkot starting on the 6th. The evening of the 6th, we're starting on the evening of the 7th. So I think I did put a note on the calendar that be aware that I may push everything back. And so I believe the Spirit is telling me to do so. But that being said, Sukkot is going to be held on this land that Yahweh has given us. Praise be to Yahweh. He has given us land to which he's given us borders and given us a gate. Hallelujah. And we are doing our best to keep iniquity out of these gates and keep righteousness. And that is literally our job. And to keep those who Yahweh wants within these gates. And it's a challenge, and it's the most beautiful thing and hardest thing that I've ever tried in my life. And please pray for us, because it seems like the enemy comes at us at all costs. So I want to pray, and then we'll play the new song. Father Yahweh, we just come before you in Yahushua's name, and we just bless you, Father. We just want to dwell in your house forever, your tabernacle, your house, the house that Yahushua came and reared up, the fallen tabernacle of David, Father. And we just pray that you'd help rear it back up in these last days. Rear up your house, O Yahweh. Build your house, please, Father. And we ask this in your Son, Yahushua's name. And we're just so looking forward to the days coming ahead. We know a lot of people are preaching the second coming here in the next 30 to 45 days, Father. Personally, I know that I don't know the day or the hour. But Father, this does seem like the season. And so I just ask that you'd help our people to understand what we need to understand before the coming, and to be ready, to be accounted worthy to escape all these things that are coming to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. It's in Yahushua's name we pray. Amen. Hallelujah. And this is Fishers of Men with Faith Is, Michelle Glass, Let the Lion Roar, EDM style. Praise the Most High, Yahweh Sabaoth.
The army is formed. We are waiting for the lion to roar. Let the lion roar. Let the lion